So this is the report from our group, and I am doing the presentation, but this is contributions from a lot of people in that group, and all of you who are here, please feel free to jump in if I am saying something or wrong or missing something. So what we came up with was a proposal to build a nationwide complaint management system. So if you have been living in India for a long time, you will find that there are lots of things to complain about, and one big problem is that you do not know where or how to submit a complaint. And even if you do know of a particular website, esoteric government website where you can submit the complaint, the form is very cumbersome. You will have to fill in many fields, and you don't know what to expect at the end of it. But that is from the citizen side, and also from the government's department side. They just get this barrage of complaints. Many of them are ill-formed. You cannot even know what is it that the person is complaining about. I have actually personally looked at the complaints submitted on Maharashtra, Mumbai websites, and just so many spelling mistakes, grammatical errors. You don't know where exactly is the complaint, what is being talked about. So there are many ways in which we can help both parties by creating this one unified nationwide complaint management system. Sort of we are thinking of it like a Stack Overflow for complaints or a Quora for complaints, or maybe somewhere in between Wikipedia and Quora for complaints. So, this will, so once we have such a complaint, once we have this centralized platform, it will accept inputs in the form of maybe, you can call a 311 kind of number, so you will be getting audio input. And I think the primary means of complaint submission will be through mobiles. You take a picture, and along with your GPS coordinate, the complaint is submitted, and or you can just sort of text something. Maybe we'll have handles with Twitter and Facebook, so that you don't necessarily have to install our app to get a complaint, to submit a complaint. And then we will be, of course, connecting to existing systems for complaint management, so we should have hooks for that. And once you create this connection, this network of submitters of complaints and solution providers, you can do several things. I mean, many of the things that I presented in my vendor talk, plus many other things which I did not present, like you could dig out other relevant solutions to previous history of complaints. Very often what happens is people say, okay, your complaint has been fixed, but actually it resurfaces. Somebody said, oh, we fixed this pothole, but within 1 month again there is a pothole. So can you resurrect old complaints? And then from sort of say election candidates point of view, you could provide analytics over the history of complaint resolution in a ward, and it definitely has relevance and support from people trying to build smart cities. And now, of course, there will be many hurdles. Question is, how would you incentivize the service providers? So people had some nice ideas. We could have merit lists, and we could maybe use public shaming or lawsuits. There are apparently startups which specialize and which will help you do lawsuits. And the other thing is, can we involve this large layer of private agencies to help mitigate some of these complaints? Maybe for a fee, somebody, okay, you really cannot bear the stink coming from the drain outside your door, and you're willing to maybe pay a private agency to achieve your expected level of sanitation. Like if you can have private security guards provide private police force, why can't you have private, such as sanitation agencies? And now from an AI point of view, there are many research challenges. Of course, understanding audio, image, NLP and text complaints is not going to be easy. So we have to take the easy to input complaint formats and transform it into a form that a government agency might demand. So people suggested, can we have task focused chatbots? Like when I was looking at the Mumbai municipality complaints, many of the complaints you just could not figure out what they are complaining about. So a chatbot can cross question to get more details as and when required, without being too intrusive or without requiring a lot of time. Somehow I do believe that for a complaint management system, it's going to fly only when it is very fast and you can just do it on the go. And then there were nice ideas about how we could use crowdsourcing to both help with understanding of the input and also to sort of to designate experts. So somebody might, to take Mausam's example, somebody might declare himself or herself to be the expert on water related issue in a particular ward in Delhi. And then maybe can we have some kind of a Wikipedia like model for controlling that expertise, and then there were ideas about actionable news. For example, in Mumbai there was this just atrocious stampede, and then I Changed My City, which is this complaint management portal which is already in existence. They actually took that news and they were conducting survey among I Changed My City registered users to say what could have been done, what representation can we make, to do you have any ideas on what could have been done to not have such accidents again in future. And of course multilinguality. And another very nice project that is kind of a project on its own is how do you get verification of whether a complaint has been resolved or not. And this can be actually a much bigger project. So suppose if someone says pothole has been fixed, how do you involve citizens to validate whether that actually has been done or not. And I believe Microsoft already has some projects of that nature. So that team can work together with this effort to kind of add validation, which is citizen supported, crowdsourced, to the resolution of complaints. And now of course the difficult task, how to make it happen. So basically we thought what we can try to do. I mean, initially it has to be a research project because there are many interesting research challenges. So maybe it can be like there was interest from IIT Kharagpur and from MSR, and definitely IIT Bombay is interested. We can and IIT Delhi. So we could create like a GitHub project with maybe perhaps the right software architecture so that different teams can contribute to different pieces. We already have sort of some kind of a system around Venture, so we can just make it extensible and easy to work on by lots of teams. And Microsoft, we are hoping, will help us in choosing the right development platform which will allow for large scale sharing and deployment. And then and of course the next big challenge is how to find developers. I mean, we do find students once in a while who are good in coding, but here what you need, so actually I am familiar with the old style software development, like when Postgres was developed. We used to have people who were specifically hired, they're like master developers, people who did BSD. One of those staff would be like the Postgres project staff. They would be responsible. They are not grad students, they are not faculty, but they just know the system really well. They maintain it and they do maybe 50% of the coding of that system. So I don't know whether we can fund such a person, or with first more than fund, actually I think just finding such people is difficult, particularly in a university setting. It's there is not much place in university growth path for people who are neither students nor faculty. What am I doing here? So that is the problem with our finding developers, and we are hoping that the researchers' involvement will be done when we build an initial good prototype, and then we are looking for more partners, enablers like Siddharth, to kind of reach out to government agencies and selling it to government departments, selling it to people, and making it happen. And actually this is the main thing that we discussed. But there was another interesting project which I don't know if somebody is interested in, just sort of elaborating more on the citizen driven evaluation of civic projects. So this is something, actually I don't want to talk about it much, because that was mostly what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, but is there anything anyone wants to add?
I think it's easy to build the application. It's perhaps even possible to get departments to adopt it, but getting getting people to adopt it, getting consumers, is basically a very hard problem. I mean,
But you know, I change my city. At least I don't know what is the fraction of people who use it. But in terms of
let's take a
absolute
poll
numbers,
in this room. I mean, how many people from Bangalore use it, for example?
yeah, I don't know how many have even heard about it.
So I have a feeling that marketing it to people is where the real challenge is.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of apps. For example, the government of India, the central government, has been promoting the Swachh Bharat thing,
Yes.
which does the same thing.
Yes, yeah.
And then I know that the Karnataka state government has at least two portals, two independent portals developed by different departments. So I feel the adoption and preventing fragmentation and all of that, that is going to be the real challenge.
That
And
is
then
true.
we can get to the interesting problems behind it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, just to add to it, actually, Government of Karnataka has launched a portal about a few years back called as Sakala.
Sakala.
Sakala stands for actually like basically the main objective of the application is to guarantee delivery of services to the citizens. So that is being actually like exactly what you portrayed there in terms of the architecture, right? That is kind of actually like interface which will be like directly connected to the government employees as well as citizens, and the entire backend routing mechanism in terms of addressing it to the right official in that particular department and making sure that how that service is rendered till the logical end to that. And also it involves the citizens' feedback for the closure of that particular activity. Like it can be like issuing of a birth certificate or actually municipal services or property tax, any of those close to 300 different services which a typical government offers to the citizen. So that is there in place, and also like effectiveness is they are getting about close to 10,000 to 15,000 hits every day. And they are actually monitoring it in terms of seeing what is the SLA associated with that particular service and which are the areas which are delivering within that SLAs and which are the departments which are failing to do that, so that they can bring in the course correction. So maybe we can look at actually integrating that so
That's
that
right.
that will be the good platform for
Yes, yeah.
taking forward. Yeah,
See,
just must.
even for winter, for example, we didn't have any data to start with. We basically took data. I changed my city data was public.
Correct.
So we could crawl their data and do this AI research on their data. Similarly, maybe that is the first thing we should do.
Yeah.
It's not, that's
Yeah,
not
and
the
also a lot
starting
of
point
governments,
should be
yeah,
to
government are experimenting with a lot of social sentiment analysis. They're making the heat maps in terms of knowing which are the main pain points of the citizen. It can be pothole, it can be police, it can be like a rain problem, water logging. So that has been done on experimental basis in government of AP. In fact, we were involved in that in terms of developing the dashboard, especially when they had the bigger events like the Pushkarlu and all those things, right, which are mega events where we get about huge crowd. So they did actually like something called as real-time monitoring systems, where they got involved about 4 or 5 departments which are mainly involved in terms of actually bringing that kind of a event. So we can approach those departments taking our framework. They'll be more than happy to take it forward actually. Yeah.
So your name? Which
I'm
name?
Santosh, I'm from Microsoft.
Oh, my
I work with IDC.
Oh.
Yeah. I've been handling the government segment business for last 15 years within Microsoft.
Oh, okay.
So we are actually involved in a lot of actually this kind of initiatives from the government.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.